I think the housing is something that more or less sorts itself out. It's unfortunate that it's not just something that we can just say, okay, let's just build 500 or 1,000 houses and the housing crisis is over. It takes a lot of time to kind of turn that ship around and point in another direction. And I think here anyway, I think that maybe we've been sleeping on it a little bit for a little too long. And we kind of begrudgingly say, I guess we'll allow a new development and we're pretty strict about what it's going to look like. And on one hand, we want the new development to be the Sunshine Coast. But on the other hand, if it's tough for people to develop, they just go someplace where it's easier to develop. And then we wind up with, in 2 years, a $600,000 house becomes worth $1.3 million.
Okay, so we're going to talk about development. I'm not okay with like developments coming to council and council will be like, yep, rubber stamp it. We need more houses. Do it, do it, do it. No, because I think it's okay that we want to keep the kind of community we have. There's a reason that people are moving here. It's a sense of community. And so as long as developments are along that line, that they're considering the look, the feel in what they're building to keep this type of a community. So it's okay if council slows down some developments or outright denies others, because there will be other developers that come and will do it right and will keep the sense of community that we have here.
I agree with that, but I think that the balance with that is the more stringent we are and the longer we wait, the higher prices will go for housing and just make a housing crunch worse. And that, so in 5 years or 10 years from now, then all of a sudden when a developer looks around and they're like, oh, it's worth it to jump through these hoops in Gibsons or in Sechelt because I can sell the house for $3 million. So yeah, it'll be an awesome return on my investment. I guess that's what price tag do we put on the community that we have versus the quality of life people that are living here. Like there's people that have lived here a long time, renting, trying to get by, and to say, oh, well, we, the homeowners or the landowners, are protecting the sense of community when these people are like, I can't rent for $3,000 a month, you guys. It just doesn't make sense. What part of the community are we protecting?
Well, then government could be forward thinking in what they allow, like what type of communities, and maybe tiny home communities, maybe mobile home communities, like different levels so that people can stay at an affordable price and not 1.5 million.
I agree. And I think I think there needs to be more of an understanding of what affordable housing looks like.
Yeah.
Because when you listen to local governments, they'll say, oh, it's really important that we get, an affordable housing aspect to this new development that's coming. And we're going to put that at, 10% or 20% under the market rate. But the market rate is $1 million.
Yeah.
So you're saying affordable housing is $800,000.
Or the concessions might be like if you build a new home, then 10% or 10,000 of that goes into affordable housing pool. Well, that's kind of a joke, that 10,000. Like you're not even going to keep up with affordability of homes. Yeah,
like we need to think of some different ideas on the coast. You'll hear people say that the expensive part of building here is the land. That you're going to buy a lot for 500, 600, 700, $1 million. And that even if you build a modest house on it, you're still into it for this huge land cost. So maybe we start looking at earmarking properties that can be really chopped up, that instead of saying, oh, we've got a lot and maybe we can build a duplex on it, maybe you've got a parcel of land that if you said we were going to zone this to build single family homes, we could put, 30 single family homes here. Maybe you look at it and you say, okay, let's chop this up and put tiny homes on it.
Tiny homes.
And instead of 30 homes, we're going to put 100 homes or 150 homes. And then all of a sudden, yes, you're buying less land, but then the land value is much less. And because you're building tiny homes, you can build them off site, so then it just is maybe a more affordable option.
I'm just hearing the locals screaming, water, there's water shortage. We can't be promoting more development and more building till we figure out that we're going to have enough water, that we're not going to.
Water in my mind is like traffic. There is nobody on any level of government that looks around and says, boy, this place is really going to boom in the next 10 years. We better build a whole bunch of transit or a whole bunch of highways or a whole bunch of freeways to accommodate the traffic we know will come here. Every city, town I've ever lived in, you suffer through traffic till it gets to be an unlivable condition. And then you scream and make noise. And then the government acquiesces and says, okay, yeah, we need to get on this. We left this too long. You saw it with the LRT in Edmonton. You saw it with road conditions. You saw it with a ring road. You saw it with the ring road in Calgary. That these things are decades past due.
Well, the big island highway took like 40 years to build.
Exactly. These things take a long time.
Yeah.
And yeah, in a perfect world, we would say, hey, everybody, let's just pump the brakes and let's not have housing prices go through the roof. And let's just have rents kind of stay some livable amount until we can figure out the water problem. But that's not what's going to happen. Is you're going to just keep seeing it build and build and build and build until at every time there's an election, that is the problem that comes from our riding. Is that we say, fix the water now. And yeah, unfortunately, there is nobody that is going to be proactive to fix this. We have been here for 7 or 8 years. And for 7 or 8 years,
we've had water restrictions in the summer.
And what has changed? They don't even change the water restrictions in the summer. Every summer here on the coast, we have 4 levels of water restrictions, right?
Yeah.
1 is like, go crazy. And then number 4,
you can't water your garden.
But yeah, like not your lawn, but like your vegetable garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And local farms can't water their garden. Like
it's pretty
food and
severe.
water, isn't that the top? Food and water, like cancel way other things before you cancel people being able to water their garden. Instead
of saying, let's not develop here until we get the water thing figured out, how about we just take that first stage and just get rid of it? That every year we start at stage 2. Or every year we start at stage 3. Yeah. How about we say, instead of building these big developments with big lawns that need to be seeded, how about we say, no, it has to be waterless landscaping like you see in Las Vegas or Phoenix or these kinds of things. But yeah, just to say, let's just stop development until the water catches up. It ain't ever happening.
Yeah.
And instead of saying there's a problem with the shortage of water, let's figure out how to fix the shortage of water. How about we just kind of work with what we can control? And say, let's incentivize people to not have lawns, or to be more responsible with their water, or to install a cistern or a tank. Let's do those kinds of things instead of just sitting on our hands and saying, well, this will be the next council that takes after.
There's not sitting on the hands. There's stuff that has been started in place beforehand and is being held by the next level of government. The provincial government is holding back some approval on wells that the district has requested a long time ago.
I'm not saying that only the town or the district is sitting on their hands, but it's everybody.
Yeah.
Until there is political pain, we will not have the water fixed. So what we need to do in the meantime is figure out how to make better use of the resource that we have right now. And saying we're just not going to develop, that doesn't fix anything. Because if we stop developing and we stop using the more water, the province quits paying attention to us because we're not a problem. We're just using the water we have. And then the housing prices just keep going up and up and up and up and up and up. And to look around and say, the problem here on the coast is that we don't have water, so let's just stop development, is like myopic and I think honestly a little bit childish. You're building a fence around the town and saying, no, we like this the way it is. We don't want it to change. If you've ever watched these videos and you've thought, we're too raw, you should move to the Sunshine Coast. I like to think that this one undid it a little bit. I went after the town and the municipality pretty hard on water and development. So yeah, it's not all sunshine and roses here, but it is a very nice place to live. And if you can set those things aside and have optimism that things will work out in the future, then I don't think there's any better place to live in Canada than right here.
I agree. I love it here. It's wonderful.